GrizzNation. No retreat talk radio with businessman Morry the Grizz Taylor. Tired of a dead economy? Expect more from America? Tell it to the Grizz.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to GrizzNation. This is the weekly podcast of Morry the Grizz Taylor, CEO of Titan International. This is Michael Caputo. I'm in for Grizz right now. Grizz is going to join us in about 45 minutes. We are joined here today, right now, because so much is going on in Washington right now. We thought it important to bring on DeRoy Murdoch, who is a syndicated columnist who follows Washington very closely, so you don't have to. DeRoy, are you on the line there?
Mike, how are you? Good.
Incredible article in National Review on the Senate Democrats and how they're running away from Obama, but they're still voting in favor of his policies. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on with the Dems. They're facing a really tough midterm election, aren't they?
I think they are, and I think if you could boil this down to a bumper sticker that is pretty much common to the Senate Democrats running for re-election, the campaign re-election slogan is Barack who?
Right.
Never heard of this guy. They have no idea who's in the White House. Some guy named O'Hara, something, I don't know. And they just pretend they don't know him, and they're running away from the guy. They're acting like he's just their worst enemy, and it's very interesting to compare their rhetoric, which is either saying that they never heard of Obama and they're running away and being distant from him, or they're claiming to be super moderate, centrist, independent types. And then you look at their actual vote record, which is just lockstep Obama. I mean, it's just the contract is kind of stunning.
Well, some of these races are extremely competitive. In fact, we know now that the Republican Senatorial Committee has doubled down on 5 of those races. And I'm reading in your article from National Review, if you folks want to take a look at it, it's called Senate Democrats Flee Obama by DeRoy Murdoch. DeRoy is our guest here. DeRoy, you're also a contributor on Fox News. Do you know these 5 races that the Senate Republicans have doubled down on? Each one of these people is keeping Obama out of the state, aren't they?
Yeah, basically Obama's travel schedule during this last few weeks of the re-election, or the midterm re-election campaign, involves going to places like Gwyneth Paltrow's house, where he was just a couple of days ago, I think in Beverly Hills or somewhere in California, and raising a lot of money, and then he'll fly back here and spend time at Sarah Jessica Parker's house in Manhattan and raise money there. And so this guy who talks about how he's the man of the people, he's part of the 99%, the 1% super wealthy are just the worst people in the world, didn't build that, etc. Then he runs around and hangs out with these people at night and takes their money. It's just a disgusting kind of stomach-turning type of behavior. And, in fact, he was at Gwyneth Paltrow's home, I think it was either last night or 2 nights ago, raising millions for the Democrats. But what he will not do, however, is actually appear with them, because he's poisoned. His approval rating is down at somewhere between the high 30s and low 40s. In some of these states where they have very competitive races, his disapproval is even higher. It's up in the down in the mid 30s disapproval, in the mid 50s or low 60s. And so the last thing these Senate Democrat incumbents want is to see Obama anywhere near them. So he stays away from those states while basically running between the East Coast and the West Coast, raising money from coastal liberals and staying away from people in the middle of the state who don't really like the guy anymore. I
was just shocked to read the coverage of Gwyneth Paltrow's remarks at that fundraiser, where she said something like, "You're so handsome, I can't even speak correctly." We all know that she's not that great of an actress anyway, but I mean, he goes to these Hollywood parties where they fawn all over him. My comment to that was, I mean, whether you like Obama or not, he is president of the United States, and you don't flirt with the president at a fundraiser.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the way Paltrow behaved was somewhere between sycophancy and seduction. And to behave like that with a married man, it was really, really quite revolting. And then she said something like, I wish we could give you all the power, I'm paraphrasing, wish we could give you all the power you need to do everything you want. And it sounds like rooting for dictatorship, essentially.
It really does. And as you said in your National Review article, in fact, Obama said it. He's not on the ballot this fall, but make no mistake, every single one of his policies are on the ballot, every single one of them. And if you vote in favor of a Democrat in the United States Senate, that's what you're going to get.
I think Right, and this is something that has caused a lot of Democrats, even David Axelrod, his big guru, campaign guru, to squirm, which is essentially what Obama has done is nationalize the election. And he's turned this from a bunch of small individual local races into a big national referendum on Obama and his policy agenda and his beliefs and ideas, as he said, every single one of them. And so if you vote for Obama, vote for Mark Pryor, or you vote for Kay Hagan, or you vote for Mark Begich or Mark Warner, any of these people running for these Democrats running for election, you're basically saying that you approve of Obamacare, or you approve of increasing the national debt by 69% from $10.6 trillion to almost $18 trillion. You approve of all these absurd stimulus programs, which we found out from Philip K. Howard, the man who wrote a book called The Rule of Nobody. The amount of money for these shovel-ready projects to fix roads and bridges and tunnels and stimulus. Turns out that the grand total amount of money that actually went to transportation infrastructure, 3%, only 3%
No way.
out of $832 billion, 3%. Can you believe that? Talk about a bait and switch. So, as Obama said, these policies are on the ballot, every single one of them. If you like these policies, vote for these Senate Democrats. If you don't like these policies, you want to send a message to Obama, vote for their Republican rivals and send these Senate Democrats back to the private sector, where they can live under the very laws that they passed.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I was particularly struck by your October 3rd National Review article called Obama Has No Time for Security. In fact, Obama, the president and his team missed ISIS for a very good reason, right?
They did. Well, he had this incredible comment on 60 Minutes, Obama did, where he said that I think our head of the intelligence community, Jim Clapper, has acknowledged that I think they underestimated what had been taking place in Syria. Excuse me. And in that case, he just took a steamroller and ran it right over the entire CIA and the intelligence community. And in fact, if Obama had attended his presidential daily briefs and sat down and listened to people from the CIA and the other intelligence agencies, he would have known about ISIS's rise, the threat it posed to Iraq and Syria and Christians and non-extremist Muslims in that area. And instead, in fact, Obama skipped 58% of presidential daily briefs. Now, these meetings, which are held should be held every day. The president sits down with top-level people from the CIA, and they say, "Mr. President, these are the forces and the people and the trends that are posing a physical and mortal threat to the American people over whom you are presiding. And just so you know what's happening, let's go through this every day." And every day they give them an update. Well, most presidents sit down, they listen to this information, they ask questions, they tell me more about this. It's challenging intelligence, say, well, why do you think this? Why do you know it? They might say something like, well, I'm sorry to hear that things are going crazy in Paraguay. It might help to know that my old college roommate is from Paraguay, and maybe you can talk to him. He might be able to be helpful to you. And you can get that kind of feedback. Unfortunately, what Obama does is skip most of these, 58% of them.
58%?
58. He skipped 58% of these. And he says, well, it's okay, I read them on my iPad. Now, he gets this information on his iPad. Whether he reads the stuff or not is a total mystery. That's something between Obama and his God, I suppose. But what he needs to do is sit down with these people from the CIA and the other intelligence agencies, get this information, engage, ask questions, learn more, tell them I want to know more about this, please get me more information on that, talk to so-and-so, he might be able to help us quietly on such and such a challenge in whatever place. And instead, Obama only attends 42% of these so far as president, according to the Government Accountability Institute, a private conservative watchdog group that has gone through and followed these White House schedules, and the schedules is published by Politico. And he's blown off 58% of these, including, believe it or not, he skipped his presidential daily briefs for 1 week before the Benghazi attack, which killed Ambassador J. Christopher Stevens and 3 other American public servants. And then, unforgivably, in my opinion, he ought to be impeached for this alone. For the next 3 days, he skipped his presidential daily briefs after Benghazi.
No.
Instead, he jetted off to Las Vegas for a fundraiser and then went to campaign in Colorado. Now, the presidential daily brief that day, I'm not seeing they're highly classified. It might have been, Mr. President, we have very serious indications that there will be Benghazi-type attacks in our embassies in Cairo, in Istanbul, and in, I don't know, let's just say Bonn, or rather Bern, Switzerland. I'm making this up. This is not true. I don't know that to be the case. But he might have learned that and said, okay, great, make sure we increase our marine protection, make sure that we get the local police to surround the place. and let's make sure this doesn't happen again. He didn't get that information because he jetted off after the Benghazi attack to Las Vegas to raise money and then to campaign for re-election in Colorado. And only 3 days after the Benghazi attack did he sit down on a hard chair and get his presidential daily brief. I think that is a total, complete abrogation of his duty. I think that is complete presidential malpractice, and I think for that alone he should become ex-President Obama.
Well, listen, I know you have known you for many years, DeRoy, and you were not always forgiving of George W. Bush. You were critical of him in your syndicated columns and very frank about it. But how does the president compare to George W. Bush and his frequency of attending those presidential daily briefings?
Bush attended almost every one of his presidential daily briefs. He might have missed one or two here or there, but he took that very seriously. According to people who are knowledgeable of his involvement in these briefings, he would sit down, listen to the experts, ask them questions, say, please give me more information on such and such a topic. Here's what I think we ought to do on this, that, or the other. And apparently he took it very seriously and understood that the most solemn duty of the President of the United States, whether he's a Republican or a Democrat, is to make sure that the American people are safe and secure within the American homeland. And there's nothing more important for the president to do than to make sure we can walk down the street and conduct our affairs with ourselves, our friends, our loved ones, and our associates without being blown to pieces. And this is something that Obama seems to consider important only 42% of the time. 58% of the time, he's got something better to do than that. And whether you like or dislike G.W. Bush, he sat down and took this very seriously, and only on a couple of occasions missed his presidential daily briefs. Obama skipped 58% of them.
Goodness gracious. Now, DeRoy, we're talking to DeRoy Murdoch, a syndicated columnist and also a frequent contributor to National Review. In fact, we're talking about his October 3rd article, Obama Has No Time for Security. Now, is there a reason why he's like this? I mean,
well,
why?
I think he's lazy. I think it's as simple as that. I think there is a character flaw, which is the guy's just not very energetic. I think he's a good campaigner. There's something called politics, and there's something called government. I think he's good at the politics. I think he's good at shaking hands, giving speeches, going to rallies, shaking up the troops. People.
A heck of a lot better than Romney was.
Certainly, no question. He's very good at that sort of thing. I think he's a master. But at some point, the balloons come down from the ceiling, the confetti gets blown around, and then it gets swept up, and the campaign's over. And then you need to put away the bumper stickers, put away the campaign buttons, sweep up the confetti and deflated balloons, and then sit down and get to work and govern the country or govern the state or the city, as the case may be. He's terrible at that. And I think what's interesting, looking back, if you will, to the beginning of his presidency, he ran, I think, other than the Jeremiah Wright controversy, he ran pretty much a flawless presidential campaign. And he defeated the Clinton political machine, which is one of the most effective political machines this country has seen since the days of Mayor Daley in Chicago. And he defeated them. And so I thought when he got in that he would do things that you and I might not like, but at least they would be governed well, they'd be well managed, they'd be well administered. In fact, to my amazement, I think the shock of a lot of people, it turned out that all they had was a campaign organization. They had no sense of how to govern a country, no sense of how to manage anything. And Obama's presidency from the beginning has just been watching him one day after another just trip over his shoelaces and fall flat on his nose. And you've just seen one error after another mistake, whether it's for the Benghazi mess from the healthcare.gov website that didn't work. We had something here in New York City where the White House decided it'd be a really good idea to get brand new photos of Air Force One. So they had Air Force One flying around while they had a fighter jet behind it, and then other aircraft taking pictures. And they didn't bother to tell anybody in New York City about this. So all of a sudden people in Battery Park, New York think, oh, my God, it's another 911 attack. And people just start running and fleeing. Had they bothered to tell people about this, they wouldn't have freaked out. And little small things like that, one error after another. And I think it all is compounded by a lack of management experience, and also Obama himself saying that he just doesn't really have the energy to be engaged. He said this to Barbara Walters, I'm quoting. He said, I think there's a laziness in me. It's probably from growing up in Hawaii, and it's sunny outside. He's very open. He said this to Barbara Walters December of 2011 on ABC's 2020. So he himself confesses he's a lazy guy, and the laziness manifests itself in skipping 58% of his presidential daily briefs and just not being around to do his job.
Well, DeRoy, I want you to stick around for just a minute. We're going to go to a real quick commercial break. We'll be right back with DeRoy Murdoch here on GrizzNation.
Hi, I'm Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together, we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nesquik. Try Nesquik 4-packs, perfect for lunches and great for kids on the go. Look for it in the juice aisle. Snack time is a great chance to sneak extra calcium into your child's diet without making him feel like he's eating something he doesn't want. Serve up dairy-rich foods like smoothies, flavored milk, frozen yogurt, and string cheese. He'll love the treat, and you'll love knowing how good it is for him. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Hi, I'm Olympic gold medalist Shawn Johnson. I want to make sure you know about the March of Dimes, March for Babies. This walk is really special to me. I was born with an APGAR score of 0, which is not an ideal way to start. Every day, babies start life the same way, with the odds stacked against them. Their first steps are made possible by ours, all of ours. Take the first step at marchforbabies.com.
The Grizz.
Let's walk together for stronger, healthier babies.
GrizzNation is back. Now nobody in Washington is safe. Dial 855-98-GRIZZ to join the conversation. Now here's Morry Taylor, the Grizz.
Welcome back to GrizzNation, ladies and gentlemen. Morry Taylor is out right now. He'll be back with us in just a few minutes. This is Michael Caputo sitting in for the Grizz. And joining us on a GrizzNation right now is Fox contributor and syndicated columnist DeRoy Murdoch. DeRoy, thanks for sticking around through that commercial break.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
Well, listen, tell me, we were talking about Obama and his foreign policy and how he skipped all of those presidential daily briefings. And you say you think it's because he's lazy. And I think, well, that's a little bit of an uncharitable comment, but he said that himself.
Yeah, I mean, people might think, oh, my God, what a cheap shot. How dare you say that? These aren't my words. Obama himself said this. This is my article, which is on National Review Online or nationalreview.com, headlined, Obama has no time for security. And I'll quote Obama directly as he confessed to Barbara Walters. This is on ABC's 2020, December 23, 2011. Obama said, quote, "I think there's a laziness in me." He continues, quote, "It's probably from growing up in Hawaii, and it's sunny outside," unquote. These are Obama's words, not mine. So he himself confesses to being a lazy man, and either, he could try harder and try to overcome his laziness, and we'd all be impressed with that. But in fact, he's decided to play into it, and you've seen him again skipping 58% of his presidential daily briefs, where the intelligence agencies try to tell him what the threats are facing the United States of America and the American people. And you even see things which I think really this was one of the most appalling moments in his presidency so far. Which was back in August when we had James Foley, the journalist, beheaded by ISIS.
Right.
And he got up and gave a statement at Martha's Vineyard. And 7 minutes later, he was on the golf course.
Right.
And everybody was disgusted by this. And somebody finally asked him about this. I think it might have been Brett Baer of Fox. I forget who exactly now. Anyway, and his response was, "Well, yeah, you're right. I should have seen that those were not very good optics." My God, what a bloodless comment to make. It's not a matter of optics. It's a matter
I mean, as a political operative, I've talked about optics behind the scenes every single day. I would have, if my candidate said the word optics on a microphone, I'd fire him.
Appalling, and not just the optics were bad because we put the podium in the wrong place for the rally. No, optics are bad because an American journalist has his head literally severed by Islamofascist terrorists, and 7 minutes later, Obama's golfing, and he refers to this as not just a matter of terrible judgment, a matter of cold-bloodedness on Obama's part, a matter of being totally heartless towards this poor man who was killed in his family, No, he says it's a matter of bad optics. I mean, if I were in Obama's position, I would have seen that happen. I then would have sat down with my national security team and said, this is an awful thing. What are we going to do to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And then spend the rest of the day hunkered down trying to figure out how to protect the American people from this sort of an outrage. You do this and run off on the golf course 7 minutes later, and then when you get caught, say, oh, gee, these were bad optics. I mean, I thought that was truly stunning and probably right down at the bottom of Obama's record, along with if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor.
Right. Well, we talk about how all of his policies, the things that the president has done, is now affecting the midterm elections, which the control of the United States Senate is at stake here. And we have a question from the internet from Roger in Maine, and he wants to know from you, what will Obama and the Democrats do to try to save the Senate? I mean, in fact, is there an October surprise on the horizon?
Well, if it's a surprise, I guess we'll be surprised when it happens.
Right.
We do have at the moment something like about, about 3.5 weeks to go before Election Day, and who knows what kind of stunt they'll pull. I feel more comfortable if these Republican challengers, these Senate Democrats, were 7, 8, 10 points ahead. A lot of them are 1 point ahead, 2 points ahead. These are very, very close races, and I think there could be anything from a national October surprise on the part of Obama that he may want to pull. Something may surprise all of us, and we may have something happen that nobody expects. I suspect it wouldn't be something good. It'd be something, and that could affect these races. And of course, certainly in any of these races on an individual basis, these Democrats all sorts of things up their sleeves. Who knows quite what could happen? So, I would say if you are living in any of these states with very, very competitive races, whether it be Arkansas or North Carolina or Alaska or Iowa. If you are at all inclined to support people like Tom Cotton in Arkansas, people like Tom Tillis in North Carolina, people like Joni Ernst in Iowa, knock on doors, put those bumper stickers on, put out those yard signs, volunteer as best you can, and work as hard as possible, because you're right, any kind of an October surprise or even a November surprise could pop up and throw these races. So the most important thing is to get as many people who are inclined to support those Republican challengers, get out there and do everything they can to campaign and try to extend those leads so these candidates will be far enough ahead so that if there is an October or November surprise, that won't suddenly translate into victory. Democrats hanging on to the Senate and Harry Reid keeping his job.
Yeah.
Basically, is the man who takes good ideas from the House Republicans and just buries them in shallow graves on the Senate lawn.
Well, what's very interesting, you talk about an October surprise, and as I've been involved in politics for a while. Now is the time. I mean, if your October surprise hasn't been unveiled between the 15th and the 21st of October, there's no time for it to stick. But very interesting, we had a September surprise in 2012 when the unfortunate attack on the Benghazi, actually not the embassy, on the Benghazi consulate. And I was very, very intrigued, in fact, kind of horrified by a September 19th article that you wrote for nationalreview.com about the Clinton, the Secretary of State's office under Hillary Clinton, and how they handled Benghazi. Could you tell some of the listeners about that? When I read that article, DeRoy, my jaw dropped.
Yeah, this is something that got a little bit of attention, like so many things these days. It just got overtaken by events, but maybe this will come back to life thanks to the Benghazi committee, which is holding hearings on Capitol Hill. There's a man by the name of Robert Maxwell, who was former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State in the State Department. He was a career diplomat who had been in the public in the Foreign Service for I think 20 years, 25 years, something like this. I forget his exact tenure, but quite a long time. 21-year veteran actually of the Foreign Service. He happened to be in the State Department back in September of 2012, and he heard something unusual was going on. So he went down to the basement, and he found several people, including Hillary Clinton's Chief of Staff and Cheryl Mills, and Deputy Chief of Staff Jake Sullivan. They were in the basement, apparently going through diplomatic cables and other documents that were supposed to be turned over to the Accountability Review Board, which was a body that was going to do an investigation of the Benghazi attack and figure out what went wrong and how to prevent this again. And apparently they were going through these documents, and determining which ones should be passed along to the Accountability Review Board and which ones should be put aside so they wouldn't see them. And Maxwell was quite startled by this, and he asked one of the people there who was involved in all this. He said, isn't that unethical? And her response was, Ray, these are our orders. And so according to this man, Raymond Maxwell, who was in the State Department as a Foreign Service officer for 21 years, and by the way was a donor to Obama. He actually was an Obama supporter who gave money to Obama in his 2008 campaign. According to him, the folks who worked very closely with Hillary Clinton were there separating documents. Some of them were passed along for the Accountability Review Board, and others were kept out of the way so they'd never see them.
It's interesting, Droy, when I heard that story, I read your account of it in nationalreview.com. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with DeRoy Murdoch, syndicated columnist, and has been following Washington for many, many years. I went to my Democrat friends. In fact, I did it on Twitter, and I said, this is a smoking gun. We don't know exactly what they were doing behind the closed doors, because they were all Clinton loyalists behind the closed doors. But this is an indication that they were scrubbing the files to make sure that there was nothing there that would get the secretary in hot water, or worse, from their eyes, affect her intention to run for president. And all of my Democrat friends gave me a big yawn. I got a big yawn. There's nothing going on here. What do you care? Benghazi's, oh, come on, you Benghazi nuts. I'm all palms up about it. What, in fact, could Secretary, listen, if any Republican Secretary of State had done something like this, they'd be run out of town on a rail.
Imagine if Colin Powell, if Colin Powell's chief of staff and deputy chief of staff were in the basement of the State Department, separating some documents after the September 11th attack, saying, okay, let's send these documents to the 911 Commission, but let's not send these others to the 911 Commission. Do you think people would roll their eyes and say, oh, yawn, no big deal, that's old news? I think they'd be calling for the impeachment of Colin Powell. They'd be calling for the arrest of the chief of staff and deputy chief of staff, and I think some people might be calling for the impeachment of the President of the United States. This sort of thing goes on in Hillary Clinton's State Department, according to career Foreign Service diplomat Raymond Maxwell. And again, a lot of people yawn. Now, this is not just a matter of a lack of ethics. If, in fact, what took place really did take place, Sidney Powell is a former federal prosecutor who's prosecuted 350 different criminal cases. She wrote a book recently called License to Lie, exposing corruption in the Department of Justice. And I asked her about this. I said, if these things really took place, would these constitute federal crimes? And she said, absolutely. This conduct implicates crimes of conspiracy, witness tampering, and also impeding documents in official proceeding at a minimum. And these are, according to Sidney Powell, former federal prosecutor, penalties for these criminal offenses could add up to prison terms of up to 20 years. So this is deadly, deadly, deadly serious stuff. And if these people engaged in conspiracy and cover-up, not just of waste in government or too much spending or maybe some junkets that should have been taken, we're talking about covering up information related to a terrorist attack that killed a U.S. ambassador, the first U.S. ambassador to be killed on duty since, I think, the late 1970s, and the killings of Foreign Service Officer Sean Smith and former Navy SEALs Glenn Doherty and Tyrone Woods. We're talking about 4 American civil servants who are now dead because of this Islamofascist attack by an Al-Qaeda-affiliated terrorist group. And rather than get this information out and let the consequences fall where they may, according to Raymond Maxwell, this noted high-level deputy Foreign Secretary or Deputy Secretary of State, we've got people covering this stuff up and not shredding documents, at least hiding documents that ought to have been part of the Accountability Review Board, who went and took a look at this attack and tried to determine what went wrong.
Well, we only got 45 more seconds of your time, DeRoy Murdoch. DeRoy, a syndicated columnist and frequently published in nationalreview.com. DeRoy, and we got about 40 seconds left. Tell me, you compared this to Whitewater, the old Clinton scandal.
Yeah, what was interesting to me about this effort to hide these documents is how completely in character this is for Hillary Clinton. In this article I did called Standard Clinton Procedure on Benghazi, I reminded readers that right after the death of Vincent Foster, the actually chief of staff of Hillary Clinton went in and took documents out of his office. That stuff got sent off to the.
Well, thank you, DeRoy. We're going to have to go to a commercial break. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about that late question here on GrizzNation.
Hi, I'm Mark Yandel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
Soon this little baby I'm sending to sleep will start to walk. Before I know it, I'll be dropping her off at school, beaming when she walks up to accept her diploma, or holding back tears as she takes those big steps down the aisle. But before she takes all those steps, she and thousands like her will need you to take yours. Join March for Babies to help make her steps possible. Start your team today at marchforbabies.org.
Hi, I'm Julie Bowen, asking you to walk with me in March for Babies. Too many children in our country are being born prematurely or with birth defects. They have to fight to survive every day, but you can make a difference. Your steps in March for Babies can help them take their first steps. Visit marchforbabies.org to start your team and raise money to ensure that babies are born healthy. Let's walk together for stronger, healthier babies.
Welcome back to GrizzNation. Think it's bad now? You ain't seen nothing yet. Just dial 855-98-GRIZZ to ask the Grizz.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is Michael Caputo here on GrizzNation. We'll be right back in a little bit with Morry the Grizz Taylor, CEO of Titan International. Morry will be joining us in approximately 15 minutes. But in the meantime, I want you to understand that in the last half hour, that was not your audio messing up. DeRoy Murdoch, the syndicated columnist we were talking to, had a bit of a problem with his telephone. Your audio is just fine, ladies and gentlemen. Just turn it up. Turn it up very loud, because right now we have the CEO of 42 Holdings, Stephen Bianco. Stephen is the CEO of a holding company that owns many franchises of a very interesting, very fresh, very new franchise here in the United States called College Hunks Hauling Junk. But there's something going on in Washington that's got Stephen Bianco very upset. The way that the Obama administration is attacking franchises. Stephen Bianco, you're on the line?
Yes, Michael, how are you? Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, well, thanks for taking the time and coming on the show. You know, you and I have talked about this very recently, this National Labor Relations Board, which Obama has packed with pro-union appointees. They're going after you guys in the franchising industry, aren't they?
They are, you know, and the upsetting matter about that is the fact that the franchising world holds 18 million jobs in this country and has been the main employer of individuals starting out and on minimum wage type jobs. And here, the administration is diving at ripping that apart through the General Counsel of the National Labor Board, trying to equate the franchise industry as one employer. So what they're trying to do is take the franchisee, who is an independently owned small business owner.
And that's you. You're a franchisee, right?
Yes, sir. Our group, we are considered a small business, and we independently own our business, and we use and pay for the naming rights of a brand. And what the National Labor Board is trying to do is equate that as one employer, which
so, in fact, in their decision, basically, just for everybody to understand, if a person locally owns and runs a franchise of McDonald's, the National Labor Relations Board says, well, actually, the McDonald's corporate is in control of that franchisee. And that's what they're doing to you, right? They're saying that College Hunks Hauling Junk a great company, something you folks should really check out, is actually responsible for your employees. So why are they doing that?
They're doing this because this is one more opportunity or one more reach for the unions to try to gain control of the most dominant employer in the franchising industry, and that's the restaurant industry. You know, right now the unions are only comprising about 1% of that workforce, and they've never been able to get a hold of that workforce because there's so much turnover, so many changes of hands, and they want that. And this is their one more ditch effort, because if they can grab McDonald's and they can bring the whole franchising industry down, and you know what? The franchising industry is not all McDonald's. The franchise industry is that corner coffee facility where you live. It's that small plumbing company, and you might not even know that's a franchise system. And not all a franchise is McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, Burger King, and Subway. These are small businesses, and they're people living right next door to everybody else with the same financial issues as everybody else has. And the National Labor Board is not thinking about that. They're thinking about union money and union control. And here we have 4 appointed attorneys,
right?
Not
appointed,
even elected,
and they're all
appointed,
union guys.
Elected.
They're
and
not.
They're
Union guys, right? They're union guys.
They're
and appointed by the Obama administration into those 4 seats. They've never been franchisors or franchisees, and they've decided to hell with all of you.
They've probably never been small business owners, so what do they care? But the sad part is that, you know what, the franchises are the ones that are employing the individuals who are on food stamps. And that right now, I think we're at, 42 million people on food stamps right now?
Right.
And the franchising industry is the one who's employing most of the people that would be coming out of governmental assistance. So doesn't that sort of confuse people?
Absolutely, and my understanding is you and I have talked about this, and I've read up on this. The reason they can't unionize, for example, college hunks hauling junk, is because there are dozens and dozens and dozens of franchisees of college hunks hauling junk, or McDonald's, hundreds and thousands of them. And in order for them to unionize the entire workforce of one of those large franchisors, right now they have to go to every single franchise. Every single one of the franchises you own, for example, and they have to organize them one at a time. But if they make this ruling, which they've recommended, it hasn't been accepted yet. It looks like it's going to be. Then all they have to do is picket McDonald's Corporation's headquarters in Illinois, and then suddenly thousands of McDonald's are suddenly unionized. Right?
Yes, that's exactly what would happen.
And how would that affect your business?
Well, first of all, the business itself, there will be, if the franchisor has to be the main employer, is forced to be the main employer, their costs are obviously going to run astronomical.
Right.
They're then going to have to take out separate insurance policies to cover their risk. Well, that's going to come right back to the franchisee. And it's only
so that's going to increase your costs.
The franchisor is going to divert that cost back to the franchisee because they're not going to change their margins. They're going to run it back to the franchisee. Then the franchisee, just like the change of minimum wage, the franchisee is going to have to try to regain that by raising prices.
Right. Now
that's the commodity. So
that's interesting because we just got a question from the internet. Alan from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's interested what you think. Stephen. We're here, by the way, with Stephen Bienko, who is the Chief Executive Officer of 42 Holdings, which owns, how many College Hunks Hauling Junk franchise do you own now?
15 units of the College Hunks brand.
Congratulations. That's excellent. What Alan from Charlotte wants to know is, what would an increase in minimum wage, like $15 per hour in Seattle, do to small business franchises?
Alan, great question, because businesses are run based upon performance. That's how a small business is run. And when government comes in and forces a change in wage that is not conducive to the company's growth, it absolutely devastates the company itself. And then we're forced to increase prices, which in the general terms, the hamburger is going to go up in pricing, and the consumer is going to pay for it. so it ends up equaling itself out.
Right. Well, but you actually don't have. Do you have? I think I remember from a previous conversation between us that you actually don't have minimum wage employees yourself, right?
No, we do not. We do not have, because we need the very best employees that we can possibly find. And the only way we're going to get the very best is to, on our terms, pay the best.
Right. Now, tell us a little bit about college hunks hauling junk. This is something I've seen it on Fox. I've seen it on CNBC. It's a very exciting business.
It is. It's a great business model. It's an exciting opportunity where we go into people's homes and businesses. We do hauling from single items all the way up to full clean-outs, and we try to divert 75% of those items from the landfills. At the same time, we have a moving company that does interstate and interstate moving, and we're hiring all young individuals who are starting out their careers and not finishing their careers. So we're providing a new opportunity where they have a full-time job, benefits, health insurance, 401k policies, and they're in a blue-collar industry, but they're starting out their careers.
That's interesting. And what actually got you interested in getting into that business? I mean, you're a fairly young guy. How old are you?
I'm 37. What got me interested in that industry is seeing how many young people were graduating from our 2-year and 4-year institutions, but were not able to find jobs. They really didn't know what they wanted to do. And they were all heading towards one direction, and there just weren't enough opportunities for them all in that direction. And I said, moving needs to change. We need to deliver a stronger product. And these young individuals who have graduated these 2-year and 4-year schools, this is a great opportunity for them to deliver this product and go into people's homes and support them in the act of moving, which is the third most stressful thing people go through in life, only third to death and divorce. And so what better industry to bring hungry individuals who are trying to have an effective change on themselves and in the community.
Well, it's interesting. Don't forget now, we're at 855-98-GRIZZ, G-R-I-Z-Z. That's 855-984-7499, and we're on www.GrizzNation.com. And Morry Taylor, the Grizz, will be back shortly here. Michael Caputo here with Stephen Bienko, CEO of 42 Holdings. Now, you, as a very young CEO and a very successful young man, you come from a military background, and you're an engaging guy. You love this whole new business development thing. What is the Obama administration's policies doing to your ability to plan and forecast and do your business?
Well, it's delivering a level of mediocrity to our community. That's the most drastic effect that it's currently having, is that it's delivering a level of mediocrity along with dependency. And we're seeing that through a lot of employees, that they're becoming in a thought process of a dependency, and it's taking us to change that entire process within them. And it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult and adds a different dilemma to the business world and to our culture. And we have to sort of reteach a lot of the young employees about a thought process that is going to help them throughout their life and not be dependents of the government. And that's what you feel that. You feel that with these young employees. You feel, and that's been the mission of the current administration, is to create one of dependency, because when you're dependent, you vote in a certain direction, and that's one of the biggest effects that it's had, because it truly devastates and changes the culture.
Well, and I know that you face a lot of regulation. You're a business. You're moving so much of these items that you're hauling out away from the landfill and into recycling environments. And you're facing all kinds of regulations. You're facing Obamacare. And this is what, if you can stick around through this commercial break, Mr. Bienko, I'd like to talk to you about the Affordable Care Act, what they call Obamacare. Can you stick around for a few minutes?
I would love to do that. If I can get 5 minutes, I was actually at my high school homecoming, and they're representing. We're only state championship undefeated football team of all time, and I went to a great all boys school in New Jersey called Del Barton, and there was about 10,000 people here, and they're all.
All right, we're gonna be right back after these messages on GrizzNation.
Hi, I'm Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together, we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
More than half of U.S. children and adults have never received music education, although 68% think it's important, according to a new poll commissioned by Primrose Schools. Early, consistent exposure to music has been found to support musical ability, language development, motor coordination, social skills, and learning. Visit justaskaprimrosemom.com to hear what moms are saying about Primrose School's new partnership with the Music Class, an international early childhood music education company.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Ovaltine. Give your kids the nutrition they need to be their best. Visit us at ovaltineusa.com. Telling your child about healthy food choices is important, but showing her what to eat goes a lot further. Have her help create the grocery list, then bring her to the store with you. Picking out healthy foods together helps kids get in the habit of thinking about what they're eating every day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Welcome back to GrizzNation. Scrape that Washington off your shoes, pull up a chair, and dial 855-98-GRIZZ to join the conversation with the Grizz.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GrizzNation, www.GrizzNation.com. This is the radio show where you'll always hear Morry the Grizz Taylor, who is Chief Executive Officer of Titan International, a company actually headquartered here in Quincy, Illinois. Grizz has got us broadcasting from his office here on the Roland, Mississippi River. And we were just talking to Stephen Bienko, Chief Executive Officer of 42 Holdings, a franchisee who owns 15 franchises of college hunks hauling junk. Stephen has to take a quick break here. He's at his homecoming, I believe, back in New Jersey, which is where he's from. I believe he's just taking a few minutes to kiss the homecoming queen, and he's going to be right back. Oh, hey, wait, here he is now, Stephen.
I just got the homecoming queen.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you could join us on such an important day.
They're just commemorating our state championship team, and it's just the timing of the everything is just kind of coincided here.
Well, what school is this? What school is this, Stephen?
It's the Del Barton School, which is in Morristown, New Jersey. It's an all-boys prep school, and great academic programs, and some wonderful people have from here. And so this is their big homecoming. Normally get about 10,000 people out here, so it's just a great time.
Well, listen, I'm glad you're taking a break to talk to us here on GrizzNation. We were speaking about the Obama administration's National Labor Relations Board and how they've gotten into this attack on the franchise industry, which, as you mentioned in the last quarter hour, supports 18 million jobs in the United States. 18 million jobs. And if they actually succeed in doing this, I mean, we've heard from Andy Puzder, who is the president of Hardee's and Carl's Jr., and he says that if they succeed in doing this, this is going to end up in fewer jobs. And in fact, that folks like you who buy franchises and create small businesses and create jobs across the country, you may not be able to have those opportunities. In fact, that big companies like, for example, Hardee's and Carl's Jr. will only open company-owned offices after that.
Well, the risk becomes so high to them that they need to continue on the growth of their brand. They are the originators of that brand. So if the cost goes up astronomically for them to take on the risk of a independently owned business owner who buys into the rights of the brand, they're just going to turn and then do it themselves. If they're going to be forced by the government to and be the employer of all the employees of their locations, then they're just going to do it themselves because they'll be able to control those costs a lot better, and their risk levels will drop, which will destroy the small business industry because franchising is the basis point for small businesses in this country.
It really is.
Especially for females and minorities in this country. I mean, that's where a lot of female business owners and minority business owners get their start because it's a great system that they can be a part of, and it's that first foot in the door that I can accomplish this and I will make this happen, and they become extremely well-to-do business professionals.
Right, and it sure beats starting a business and building a brand and putting all the money into popularizing that brand. I mean, you own College Hunks Hauling Junk, and they do advertising on your behalf. All the image development that they did as a corporation, you benefit from that. You pay for that, but you actually own your own small business.
Yes, I like to equate it to, there's a little misunderstanding of the franchise world. You look at a great franchise company like Subway, and then you look at the corner deli where you live. That corner deli is owned by an independent owner who's someone who lives in town, whose children go to the local high school. And the Subway is also owned the same exact way by an independent owner who has a family just like the owner of the deli. They just decided to buy into a larger brand that is able to do some more marketing for them, have some more awareness, but they are also small independent business owners.
Right, and I'm curious. I know your business. You own 15 franchises. Your business is growing, and even though they've delayed it, these Obamacare mandates are going to hit you right between the eyes, aren't they?
They sure are, because that number count as we continue to grow, that's what the American dream is small business growth and providing more opportunities and more jobs to help the country and to help fellow countrymen and women. So that's the ideal. That's the goal of a small business. But here we are now being penalized because we've gone through a growth strategy that has driven and increased job growth. So here we are as job growers, and we're being penalized by the administration's clauses of Obamacare, and it prevents us and ends up costing us more money. So you start looking back and saying, well, is this exactly what I want to do? Do I want to continue to grow my business because I'm going to continue to have increased costs and less profit?
Well, actually, we're just now joined by the host of GrizzNation, Morry Taylor, who is CEO of Titan International, and he's been sitting here listening to you, Stephen, about your Obamacare woes. I mean, Morry, you've talked about this before on GrizzNation. This Obamacare stuff really hits you right between the eyes, doesn't it?
It really does. And Stephen, I believe guys like yourself and everybody else that wants to grow, it's just another one of the barriers they're going to try to put up. It would be a barrier for good if that's the way it really was going to be. But as all the public can see now, with all the stuff on the Veterans Administration, anything that you get big government into, it's going to get worse. You think about it, education, it's worse since federal government got into it. You can go right down the list. There's just, you've got to have, like our forefathers did in the Constitution. It's not a big document. You don't need to turn it into millions and millions of pages of everybody else's interpretation. Just go back to when they formed it.
Well, Morry, it's very interesting, Grizz. Stephen Bianco is 37 years old, Morry. 37 years old. He owns 15 franchises. A hell of a successful guy. You've been in this business a little longer than he has. About 40, almost 35 years longer than he has. And you've overcome a lot of things. Regulatory issues, unionization. And what kind of advice do you have for Stephen Bianco and entrepreneurs like Stephen who want to end up with companies your size?
Well, to be honest, you put the years I've been in it, and you put the years that Stephen's been in it. We had a chance back in the 80s. Everybody knows that Carter was just going out, and Reagan was coming in. So you had the opportunity where they were knocking down some of the regulations, and the government, truthfully, in fact, all state, local, everybody was behind the fella or woman that wanted to try to grow. It's a shame, but it's the last few years, you know, it's gotten much more difficult, and people have to understand and ask the question why. And there's an awful lot of reasons why, but it really comes back down to one thing. Our nation was set up strictly to have the power as close to the people, and that's your states and local government, and the feds were going to have a little bit of power. And what's happened, it's just went upside down, and the feds have, mainly because of lobbyists. In fact, there was a real interesting number that came back about 15 years ago. There was like, I believe, 4,000 lobbyists, and now you have 40,000 in Washington. It's totally insane.
Well, I mean, Stephen, you spent some time in Washington. You've actually testified before Congress. Do you think that Washington establishment is looking out for the average businessman?
You know, it feels to me that it's almost un-American to say this, but no, because I think the flaw is that our political system has gone astray of what our forefathers had thought and what their perception of our country was, and our Washington has turned into politics instead of people.
Right. Well, I saw you on Fox last week, I believe it was, or the week prior, and you're upset, man. I mean, you're animated about this stuff.
I am upset about it because I see so many young people, and I enjoy working with the youth, and they're such an inspiring group. It's, you know, the group of 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they're so inspiring, and you see all this in front of them, and you wonder what's going to happen here. And as a business owner, I feel like it's my duty. It's my duty as a leader to educate them, to try to change, and if I can help their thought process, then it's the people that make change, and that's what our forefathers had drafted, that the people will make changes when changes are needed. But right now, it's as if our government has figured out the way to psychologically affect people's thought process. And so where does that democracy comes in? And you know, it's crazy to think about it, but that really isn't democracy. That's on the verge of socialism when you start to control people's minds. And we're such smart people, and we have so many resources. But when I talk to individuals, and a young 20-year-old educated kid looks up at me and tells me that America is the enemy,
wow,
that's what I really would like to change.
Grizz, Grizz, we got 1 minute left here. What do you have to say to that? I mean, Stephen's made a very good point.
Well, I agree with Stephen that it crushes you when you hear young adults just starting to come in that America is the enemy. The situation is that the current leadership.
But that never happened when you were Stephen's age, did it?
No. Well, I take that back. You know, I was a Vietnam era. So
right.
I just watched the memorial for the Vietnam, and they still put time for a protester. I mean, I appreciate the protester like to protest, but you know, it's to put them on an honor now is just at the same time you're honoring the vets. It's terrible. And you know what? Just like the fellow that they gave the hostages for out of Afghanistan.
Right, listen, Stephen Bianco, CEO of 42 Holdings and College Hunks Hauling Junk, thank you for being with us here on Grizz Nation. We'll be right back.
I'm Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
If you're living with diabetes and have Medicare or private insurance, here is some great news. Call United States Medical Supply today, and we'll send you the smallest glucose meter in the world, absolutely free. So small, it fits right on the bottle of strips. And if you call now, we'll also send you this stylish full-featured meter at no charge. That's 2 free meters. You can keep one in your pocket and leave the other one at home.
You can even hook it up to your computer so your doctor can track your results.
United States Medical Supply also delivers prescription medication right to my door, so I don't have to go to the drugstore anymore.
Don't let diabetes get in the way of living. Give us a call today at United States Medical Supply and get the smallest meter in the world for free. Call today.
Call 1-800-897-8374. That's 1-800-897-8374. Call 1-800-897-8374 today.
My daughter starts elementary school this year. I'm amazed how fast she's grown. Being ready for school means more than just knowing ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. It's social and emotional development, too. That's why she spent her early years at Primrose Schools. Primrose parents rate their children above 90% in school readiness. With her Primrose Foundation, my baby is ready to succeed. To see what other moms are saying, visit askaprimrosemom.com.
No need to run around anymore searching for auto parts. At PartsMatrix.com, we do all the legwork for you, saving you time and money. And it couldn't be easier. When you send a request using our simple, secure online form, we get right to work searching our network to find OEM parts, aftermarket, refurbished parts and accessories, recycled auto parts, and more. We get back to you in a jiffy with the pricing and shipping options, too. Check out our website, PartsMatrix.com, for all the best parts at the best prices. PartsMatrix.com. Save money, drive happy.
Do you suffer from pain like joint pain, muscle pain, back pain, or painful arthritis? Then you must listen to this important message. Nearly half of all Americans suffer from some kind of pain due to chronic inflammation. Anettablock is a breakthrough supplement scientifically proven to quickly and effectively reduce inflammation and get rid of pain. Anettablock is so effective in preventing excessive inflammation and reducing the pain, we guarantee you'll feel a significant difference in just a few days. Best of all, Anettablock is now available to try for free. That's right. Call 800-882-9732 now and get out of pain absolutely free. Anettablock is now looking for real-life testimonials for anyone who has back pain, muscle pain, or painful arthritis. Call 800-882-9732 to get your free supply and get out of pain today. Just call 800-882-9732 for details. Call today at 800-882-9732. That's 800-882-9732. Again, 800-882-9732.
You're on with GrizzNation with CEO Morry the Grizz Taylor. Talk radio heavy on America and no bull. Forget the politicians. Here's the Grizz.
Welcome back to the GrizzNation, ladies and gentlemen. It's Michael Caputo here in studio with Morry the Grizz Taylor, Chief Executive Officer of Titan International here in Quincy, Illinois. Lovely Quincy, Illinois. Thanks for bringing me down here today, Morry, right here on the banks of the Roland, Mississippi. Morry, you've been on the road all week. You've been listening to some of these ads out there in some of these target states. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, when I say Morry's on the road, he's in the air. He's flying around to his different factories, dropping in, surprising them, trying to make sure things are happening. Morry, the Senate Democrats are in trouble, aren't they?
Oh, I think they're in trouble, but I think the everybody in America that can vote, you better understand one thing. If you've been raised your whole life to vote Democratic and you're listening to them, you just have to stop and look out. And unless you're on Wall Street, you better be looking at the Republican candidate, because you got to make some changes. And you're not going to get changes putting Harry Reid back in charge. That's for damn sure. The bigger the vote for the Republicans, the more you're going to get change, because it will shock the other people that are in charge, the Democrats that are in charge. It's foolish when you think about how the unemployment numbers came out, and they're telling you that things are getting better. For who? Well, in
fact, those numbers aren't they're hollow, right?
They're crazy. And the whole thing is a false premise where people drop out, so, we're doing better. Well, in order to bring the middle class up, and for all you soccer moms, for there to be more money, you are not only going to have more jobs turn around and give you higher income. And the Democrats are trying to bring every person they can from Mexico and Central America into this country. Everybody better wake up, and you better start thinking about not how they talk and how they smile, but what they have really truthfully accomplished. And don't listen to somebody that's a talkhead on TV tell you, they have all this knowledge. I listened to Panetta, who turned around and talked about Hillary. She's got all this experience. Well, what experience? That's the whole question. Just look at everything she's been and tell me, what she's really accomplished that's going to help. She's sat in a lot of meetings. She's walked around. She's a great actress, and that's about it. So she should go to Hollywood.
I want to make sure everybody knows that 855-984-7499 if you have a question for the Grizz. That's 855-98-GRIZZ here on GrizzNation. Morry, do you think the Democrats are going to maintain control of the Senate, or do you think the Republicans are going to take over?
Well, and putting your question that way, Mike, there's nobody who can give a true answer. I'm hoping that the Republicans do come through.
But you got a good sense of this stuff.
I'm hoping. Well, there's a few, but there's a few places where you even look, and a Democrat should never win.
Where?
Michigan.
Right.
He should never win in Michigan. Detroit went bankrupt. 50 years of the Democrats. They're still in charge. The judge hasn't finalized their exit from bankruptcy. But if you listen to the ads on TV, everything they're doing are lying. The current governor is a Republican who's brought things back. He actually put $1 billion into education.
What's that governor's name?
Governor Snyder.
Right.
And Snyder, and what happened, you got all these ads about the money is lower. No. The money that was taken away was taken away
what do you mean
by
the
federal
was
government.
Lower? Money was lower. What's that mean?
The federal government had, during the stimulus, had popped some money into education. All they really did was they tried to back up the pension funds because nobody had been paying in from the government.
Yeah, that's right. They're saying because the stimulus money is no longer there for the education system, they're blaming that on the Republicans, saying that he didn't fund education, when in fact Obama's money was in and gone, and it's the same amount of money that was there before. They do that in Pennsylvania too.
That's right. And the ex-governor of Michigan is out preaching at Berkeley, and they, it's so goofball. Everybody has to understand the working men and women. I was just with a union hall in Bryan, Ohio, and I told them, 20% of your dues should go to the national, and 80% should stay right local where you guys have the money and what you want in your area. But that's not how it works, folks. So That's why the Democrats, they end up with the 80% of it, and they're blowing it on your TV. So if you get mad at it, get mad at all those ads, get mad at the Democrats, and throw them out of office.
Well, we saw news this week, Morry, about the here in the United States. In fact, I think it started today in JFK. This whole Ebola crisis, the whole Ebola epidemic that's going on in Western Africa. Now, starting today in JFK, they're taking people's temperature when they get off of flights from West Africa. So you think that solves everything, Morry?
Why are they even here? Why are they even here?
So you think they should be canceled?
Stop it. I think they should just quarantine them all. I mean, it is so stupid. Because why? Because some doctor who spent his life in health, well, if he spent his life in there, they haven't solved this problem, okay? Right. And that's why he's working in a government job. So, I appreciate their tender heart, but this is killing people. When it starts killing kids, you better lump on it right now.
Right. We say 58% of Americans want a total ban on incoming flights from West Africa, and only 20% oppose it. That's a pretty overwhelming number, and yet they don't do it.
Well, that 20% must be professors and government people.
Or the Obama administration officials.
Yeah, and we send our military over there. I mean...
Isn't that ridiculous, Morry? I mean, these guys, Jesus. And they're exposed.
They're over there. I mean, it's almost criminal. If you want to send something, that's what parachutes are for. Just fly over it and drop them down. I mean, it is really pathetic. I feel bad for them over there. But now they're turning around and they're saying, oh, well, you got to come and help us. This is something that's been known for years. Why didn't they go in and solve it or figure out or be prepared for years? If you look at the same paper, you go in the Wall Street Journal, oh, we're getting back from some prince. He's been robbing the money, so he's selling his Malibu home. He gets to keep Michael Jackson's glove. I mean, he's keeping his Gulfstream.
What are you talking about? Who's that?
It's a guy it was in the Wall Street Journal today about this, the young prince. This is what he was from one of these impoverished companies or countries over there, and it's just it blows your mind. And
but we're not doing enough on the Ebola thing. Do you think this is going to get worse? I mean, we had this guy who snuck on in here. He died this week, Morry. I mean, he was so sick. And by the way, we're finding out that he was bleeding and vomiting all over his family's apartment. They're probably going to get sick.
Yeah, and then the first thing is we got some wacko gets up, and he's blaming it's racist on the hospital.
I saw that.
What a dumb jerk.
I think that was somebody from the Dallas Morning News said, we could have saved him, but we didn't because he's black. Yeah. Or because he was from an impoverished nation in Africa.
Well, he's African, and he's from Africa, and he happened to be black, but, we got to get in this country where you're either an American or you're not American. And let's take care of the Americans first and go from there. So,
well, I get you.
It is shame. They got to put it, but, Mike, you can see the pattern. Obama's not going to do anything about it. He doesn't really care, okay? Right. He doesn't care about all the people that are getting shot every weekend in Chicago. And, it just makes you sick. He doesn't care what's going on in the Middle East. He's just doing a trumped-up showing so that maybe a few Democrats and he can save the Senate for him.
Well, we got 1 minute left here, Morry. I'm astonished myself that more people aren't speaking out. People like yourself, more CEOs aren't speaking out about things like this Ebola situation. I mean, the fact that and you can't believe anything they're saying.
Well, the first thing is the reason most CEOs don't speak up is because they have been, in order to get to the top of where in the business they're at, that they play the politically correct routine, and they don't want the heat that comes back because they're still trying to.
Well, we're going to put some heat on Washington here. We're going to be right back with Morry the Grizz Taylor here on GrizzNation.
The Grizz.
I'm Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nesquik. Try Nesquik 4-packs, perfect for lunches and great for kids on the go. Look for it in the juice aisle. Snack time is a great chance to sneak extra calcium into your child's diet without making him feel like he's eating something he doesn't want. Serve up dairy-rich foods like smoothies, flavored milk, frozen yogurt, and string cheese. He'll love the treat, and you'll love knowing how good it is for him. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Hi, I'm Olympic gold medalist Shawn Johnson. I want to make sure you know about the March of Dimes, March for Babies. This walk is really special to me. I was born with an APGAR score of 0, which is not an ideal way to start. Every day, babies start life the same way, with the odds stacked against them. Their first steps are made possible by ours, all of ours. Take the first step at marchforbabies.org. Let's walk together for stronger, healthier babies.
You're listening to GrizzNation with Morry the Grizz Taylor. Dial 855-98-GRIZZ to join in on Common Sense Talk Radio, coming right at you in 3, 2, and 1.
Welcome back to GrizzNation, ladies and gentlemen. This is Michael Caputo in here with Morry the Grizz Taylor, Chief Executive of Titan International, here at Titan International headquarters in Quincy, Illinois. Morry, this week we saw some news that EPA has joined the ranks of the IRS in saying that we understand now that they destroyed a whole trove of text messages between their senior officials, and they say they don't. That doesn't matter.
Well, when you have a government that is being run by people who don't have to answer to anyone once they're there, it tells you that the system is screwed up. And it does not surprise me. It doesn't surprise me reference the IRS. It doesn't surprise me with the EPA. It doesn't surprise me with any of the government. Go back to the GSA and all. They're there for them. They're not there for the American public.
But Morry, you're in your company. It's a public company.
Yeah.
What would happen to you if you destroyed important emails or destroyed important messages and you were under investigation? What would happen to you?
Well, you would also, first thing you do is you'd be fighting multi-fronts. You'd be fighting shareholders' lawsuits. If it was something bad, you'd be fighting with the government and the bureaucrats, and because they'd be coming after you criminally. And those are all the things that will happen to a private business. But in the government, you have a situation where the agencies, even if there's wrong, and they talk about we're going to have the inspecting general. Well, the inspecting general works for the agency.
Right.
And they're all in the executive branch. Now, the bad thing is that, we have policies for people to be whistleblowers. But the problem that you have, the only time you can actually get fired as a government is if you're a whistleblower. And the reason being, they're all unionized. So the union will gang up against a whistleblower, and they got to get him out because that's the system that has been created, and it's wrong. And when you do straighten it up, you'll find that it's only like 5%.
Right.
It's not that. It's never in a business that goes belly up either.
Well, Morry, we actually got a caller on the line here. Sarah from Texas, you were actually had a question about the cost of Ebola.
Yes, I heard that the cost of treating the Ebola patient was more than $500,000, and he got that treatment for free. Are taxpayers going to have to pick up the tab anytime someone with Ebola gets into that country, or who should have to pay for that?
Awesome question. I didn't even think about that.
The simple answer is you are and everybody else in America, because the hospital. It don't matter if they're a non-for-profit or for-profit. They're going to turn around and it's going to be passed on and extra costs to everybody. That's what's happening, and that's the same thing that's going to happen with Obamacare. So,
well, I mean, at the end of it all, we've got one guy that made it in, and we've got a porous border. A border, in fact, that the Democrats in charge of this government have intentionally moved into a wide-open status. These people who are coming in, if we, in fact, have an Ebola outbreak in Central America, which people think is likely if it spreads because these are third-world nations with somewhat inadequate health care, they're going to start heading across the border. And if it's $500,000 each to treat them, we're not going to leave them untreated. We're going to go broke.
Well, there's no question about that. But, everybody should remember that in South America, Central America, Mexico, again, you have a national health policy. So it is going to be a real bad problem. And if you're going to be the biggest, richest country in the world and the most powerful, and sometimes you got to lead. Leading behind is not going to work, folks. You got to lead from the front. And the first thing is quarantine it. And you'll find out that everybody else will be doing the same thing.
Right. I mean, so you're thinking that when in fact this outbreak starts moving, which most people say it probably will, aggressive quarantine.
Only way you're going to handle it.
Right.
And
I fly in here to be with you today, Morry. There were 7 people on my plane wearing those masks. And I believe that people are getting pretty scared.
Well, I believe they are too. But, of course, the last ones to know anything will be the government, because the largest airline in the world is the U.S. government for all the government workers.
Right.
But the situation is that, you get this by contact until it becomes airborne, and they don't know when that'll happen. But so wearing the mask, unless you're going up kissing everybody, you can get it for your hand. You go sit in an airplane seat, and the guy was there before, and you reach down, and he left a little body fluids, and you got a hangnail that split open, and you touch it with a hand, you're going to get it, folks.
Right, so, these people with these masks on my flight, Morry, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do, so they're doing the only thing they know how to do. I mean, they saw pictures and stories. Remember the old SARS virus and all the people in Asia who had all those masks on in the street. The people just don't know what to do. I mean, obviously wearing that mask isn't enough.
Smartest thing to do is to turn around and wear latex gloves, and when you got to touch your own self, pull them down, throw them away. Don't try to use them. Pull out another pair. I mean, that's really the only thing, and be careful if someone hands you something. It's just crazy. It's crazy. You got to just stop it. The only way you're going to stop it, quarantine the whole damn thing.
Well, we actually don't have the antidote or whatever it is. I think it was an antidote, or I think it was a vaccination or something. All of our medicines regarding Ebola have been shipped out of the United States over to Africa. We have nothing, right?
That's right. You can't produce it fast enough. It takes so long. And, I think it's, again, we're the only ones that found the thing. They've got to be able, it's a bacteria. And, you got to just stop it from spreading. And so a lot of people are going to die in Africa, and there's something in Africa that creates that bacteria.
Well, I think, Morry, we've got about 2 or 3 more minutes here before the end of this quarter hour. I think that most people are saying that the Obama administration, this snuck up on the Obama administration, just like the ISIS in Iraq snuck up on the Obama administration. We heard the Center for Disease Control's leader, the doctor at CDC, say that he's not worried. Do you believe him?
No, I wouldn't believe him. You know,
I mean,
he's
were
telling
ready.
you, you know, when you listen to government people, remember, everything they say has been scripted, okay? You already now know that in Benghazi, when Hillary and all them come up with a video, that was pure, simple BS. Because they knew, even by the book just being read by Panetti, and at that time I think he was the head of the CIA or head of the Defense Department.
Or you're saying they just don't have any credibility.
They're politicians. They're as pure. You have got
but Morry,
the first
it's worse
pure
now.
politicians.
It's worse now.
I understand why it's worse. How can you get anybody worse than Harry Reid? I mean, you got people that will just outright lie to you if it will help change something for the next 24 hours. And then they don't care when they admit it. Nothing happens.
Right. Now, if they're lying to us about Benghazi, they're lying to us about the IRS. They're destroying, all these emails that have been destroyed. Now we know the EPA destroyed all their text messages, and they claim that it's not even their responsibility to keep them. It's not included in the law because the law was written, apparently too long ago. How are we going to believe him on something like Ebola, which is just so threatening?
Well,
I mean, how can we believe him?
I don't believe him, and I think you're.
So what do we do?
There's not a lot you're going to. Well, what do you do? Real simple, For once, a lot of you that have been voting Democratic for all your life and all what everybody tell you, why don't you try the R level? You keep pulling that D for damned, and you're going to be damned, okay? I mean, and I understand there's Republicans that I'd have to choke on voting for, all right? But that's neither here nor there. You turn around, they're the power of that party. I mean, they're the power. You're looking at it. You got to change. And you can't have this, just a point or half a point. I mean, it's pathetic what's going on out there.
Well, it really is, Morry. But, you when you ran for president in 1996 in the Republican primary, you were carrying these messages then. You were saying, look, if you keep going the way we are, we're going to end up in a recession. And, in fact, that happened. They weren't listening then. And do you think people are listening now?
Well, I don't know the difference between then and now. Back then, you really only had the opportunity to keep hitting it. It's impossible to run around this country and meet everybody. And then people look at you and say, he's right, but I don't want my vote to waste, so I don't think he can win.
Right.
And so they go the other way. Well, I understand what their thoughts are. I understand where they get it. But, at some place, you just got to get satisfied internally with yourself. When I ran then, I had a great time. I used my money. That's a fib. I used my kids' inheritance. And, but the thing is that you turn around, and I felt good afterwards because I just tell it like it is. And this time, what I'm doing is you have more chance to get to more people through the internet, etc. And I'm going to tell them, and I'm going to tell them what happens. I've dealt with Washington now for over 40 years, and I travel the whole world, so I can tell you what's going on.
Well, Morry, we want folks to call in at 855-984-7499. That's 855-98-GRIZZ with a double Z at the end. Check us out at thegrizz.com. We're going to be right back after these messages.
The Grizz.
Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
Soon this little baby I'm singing to sleep will start to walk. Before I know it, I'll be dropping her off at school, beaming when she walks up to accept her diploma, or holding back tears as she takes those big steps down the aisle. But before she takes all those steps, she and thousands like her will need you to take yours. Join March for Babies to help make her steps possible. Start your team today at marchforbabies.org.
Hi, I'm Julie Bowen, asking you to walk with me in March for Babies. Too many children in our country are being born prematurely or with birth defects. They have to fight to survive every day, but you can make a difference. Your steps in March for Babies can help them take their first steps. Visit marchforbabies.org to start your team and raise money to ensure that babies are born healthy. Let's walk together for stronger, healthier babies.
Welcome back to GrizzNation. No bull talk radio with Morry, the Grizz Taylor. Dial 855-98-GRIZZ to join in. Stand by for the Grizz.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GrizzNation. This is Michael Caputo in studio here in Quincy, Illinois, with Morry the Grizz Taylor, the Chief Executive Officer of Titan International here in Quincy on the banks of the rolling Mississippi. Morry, listen, we got a question in via the internet from Gary in Chicago. Grizz, what are your thoughts on the Secret Service? First it was hookers in Colombia, then bullets lodged in the White House, and now people jumping the fence and getting in. Is this behavior reflective of the Secret Service's opinion of President Obama, or is it a failure of his administration's leadership? Or is it something else, by the way?
Well, the first thing is everything in Washington is politics. So when you turn around and you create the creation of the Homeland Security, now
as an agency,
and you stuck Secret Service into that agency.
Right.
So no matter how you black box their budget or anything else, you have the bureaucrats there, and everybody's protecting their own territory. And how do they get a bigger group of people working for them? And then when they got that bigger group, because the people at the top get paid more money, right, because we're bigger now. And what happens? It all goes to hell. Nobody is minding the store. This is what's wrong, folks, and what we've been preaching, Gary, is number one, it's the same thing in all of our schools. You take, and you're going to have a school, and we're going to have 50 different classrooms, but they're all little kindergartners. Pretty soon, it's just the teachers. They don't even care about the kids. And it goes to colleges. It goes the same thing. Anytime it gets that big, you turn around, it's the same in any business.
So you're saying the Secret Service has gotten worse because of the way that it's lodged into the federal bureaucracy.
That's right. What you have to do is you have to break down. You got to laugh. Remember that guy that was out in Nevada, and you got the Bureau of Management affair with SWAT teams?
Or the Bureau of Land Management? Right.
I mean, give me a break. You got the FBI. You've got so many various functions in the government. IRS has its own armed agents and everything else. Why? Why, when they have a problem, wouldn't they call one of them? Otherwise, you just go over, give your paper, and send them a deal from the court. I mean, it's nuts. Everybody's trying to build their own complete, and we can enforce anything we want. I mean, it's getting just totally nuts.
Well, we have this character who was apparently a White House staffer who was caught up in that Colombian Secret Service hooker scandal. But while the Secret Service agents were booted or suspended or tossed, and there were, I believe, dozens of them, this staffer from the White House was hidden from the public. They didn't tell the truth in any of the public reporting on it. And he's now actually in an administration office on international women's affairs. What do you think of that, Morry? I think he's in the right spot, right?
Well, he's just trying to get a few more connections. You know, it's quite obvious that the fella, you know, needs a little loving. And he's real cheap. He doesn't want to spend the money. But it's just stupid. It's so stupid. But it's always politics. You know, it gets right down to it. And there's nobody in charge at the White House, folks. You know, give me a break. Everybody kind of knows it. I'm tired of, I'll say one thing. He's a good-looking guy. He can talk. And, you know, he's got a, same with his wife, same with his kids. But he hasn't got a clue, folks. And so if you don't have a clue, then who do you think they appoint? They appoint people who talk to them what they like to hear. So you've got a situation, you start at the top, and then as it goes down from the top, that's what you get. You get the same thing because they're going to put the same people in charge. You go and you watch. I preach to my people in business. If you're a finance guy and we stick you in charge of a business unit and you're running it, I don't want to see everybody under you with a background of finance. It's the last thing you ever want. You want engineers and marketing because you're finance and you really need their expertise for you got a whole function to be able to run. And if you're a guy that's out of marketing, you better have a real good finance guy and you better have a good engineer. And if you're an engineer, you better have a finance guy and somebody from the marketing. You have to balance it for you have all the pieces. If you make it all engineers, if you make it all marketing, or you make it all finance, you're going to fail.
So tell me how this applies to how the administration is doing such a poor job. They're staffing it up with all politicians, or do you?
Well, they're all people that are in the political arena.
Right.
That's what they're doing. They didn't. You look at this presidency, and even a few others, whether it's Clinton, whether it's Bush, how many times did they bring somebody in who just had the knowledge in that field to run it?
Right.
First thing is, it's to manage how you want your state. Forget all the other. You got people involved. You want the job done, so you better get managers to run it.
Well, speaking of managers, we've got a question from Howard in Little Rock. The big shots at Walmart cozied up to Obama and gave full support to Obamacare. Now, this week, in the news, we learned that they're cutting 30,000 part-timers. All their health care is being canceled, and they're raising everyone else's costs of health care. The little guy's paying for corporate big shots, playing footsie with the Obama administration. Now, Morry, this is a very interesting thing. It was announced this week, and now everybody thinks Walmart's a bunch of bad guys because they cut this. It's an incredible announcement. 30,000 workers lost their health care, and there's nobody to blame but the Affordable Care Act.
Well, it's going to get a lot worse, okay?
The business mandates haven't even hit yet.
Well, I understand that. Well, because he just waved his magical wand. If he wouldn't have waved his magical wand and everything would have dropped like they put in the law, then you would not have one Democrat elected in the House.
So you're saying because of these delays on the mandates,
that's just to get by the election,
right?
And then, well, everybody else. Now, if the thing that's wrong is that, number one, as I've stated umpteen times, government cannot run the health. No way, folks.
Right.
You're going to go to Mickey Mouse care, and that's what you got at the veterans. The smartest thing, take the Veterans Administration, put it under the Defense Department. That means there's no unions. Blow it away. Let them take care of our warriors that come back, and the military can do it. But the big problem we got now is everybody else that's not involved. And the only way you're going to solve that is, what do the American people want? They really want. They want portable. They don't want to just.
What do you mean by portable? They want to be able to keep their health care no matter where they live in the country.
If they're paying for it or what else, that's right. Then
if they live in New York and they move to Ohio, keep the same health care. Today, you can't do that.
I know that. But the reason you can't do that today is that you've got every state has their own insurance. Every state determines who can compete in that state, and they don't want other people in their state. So that's the only time you need the feds. So what they should do is just pass affordable. You go to any states, here's what it is. Then they could set up, and you can have your platinum. You could have all the policies, but here's the way you do it. You turn around, let the insurance company go out there, because they're going to manage it, because they're trying to find the profit.
Right.
But you can't have, I don't need pregnancy insurance, all right?
You don't?
No,
why not?
Because I got enough kids. So what happens is you got to structure what they need at that time. And now Obama and the government decided that if you're addicted, whether it's drugs, booze, TV, gambling, whatever, you're on an unlimited. Everything is unlimited.
So how would you do it?
I would sit there and I would say, fine, but everybody's going to get deductibles. You're going to get your really shocked when you see that. I would have, say, 5 or 6 plans. They'd be the same in every state, and that's how you can get this portability. But if you were working for a company and you quit and you still wanted that insurance, then you just got to pay it.
They call that COBRA. I mean, that was happening before.
Well, no, COBRA's a little bit different, and you have a little bigger problems when you go across state lines.
Right. Well, it's still not portable.
So you got to have the portability, and if you're a diabetic, you can't, lose it and take it up. So you just got to do those laws. Then what you do is you turn around and you pick the, let's just say you got 15. Let 15 up the max of 15, and how you throw it out. Say the state can say, oh, I got 200 insurance companies. Okay. The ones that are the lowest cost to the consumer, then you use that 15 that got the firepower and the financial power to do it.
Right.
But you turn around, and that's how you go through all the states. You got to take the states out. I mean, at one moment, there's so many reasons the states should do things, but others that you got to get the states out of it.
You think the state should be out of the healthcare business?
There's no question.
Well, in New York State, I have to call a bureaucracy in Albany in order to get my newborn daughter covered, and they haven't gotten back to me in 2.5 months.
Because they don't care.
They don't.
They got their own check. They're going to go out. Look at what's happening in California with the water out there.
Right. Well, listen, Grizz, we're going to be back here in just 30 seconds, Grizz, but I want to talk to you when we get back about how a business can possibly forecast for the future and job growth, and et cetera, in this kind of an environment with Obamacare and EPA regulations, et cetera. And we're going to be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to call us on 855-98-GRIZZ, GRIZZ, here on GrizzNation.
The Grizz.
Hi, I'm Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together, we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Looking for a way to enjoy your MP3 music without seeing messy wires? The in-dash Sony DSX digital media receiver features an integrated USB tune tray that lets you connect, store, and control your MP3 player behind the sleek flip-down faceplate. Now you can enjoy great audio quality for your music without visible wires. Plus, the Bluetooth technology provides hand-free phone access and streaming audio ability. Learn more at sony.com/DSX.
If you work in Washington, you better duck. Dial 855-98-GRIZZ to join GrizzNation. And we're back with Morry Taylor, the Grizz.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for hanging on. We're in our last 15-minute segment of GrizzNation. This is Michael Caputo here in the headquarters of Titan International with Chief Executive Officer Morry the Grizz Taylor. Now, Morry, I promised to talk to you about corporate forecasting, but there is one thing that I wanted to bring up before. When you were not in the studio yet, we had DeRoy Murdoch, the Fox News contributor, on, who had written an article in the National Review about how President Obama has actually skipped 54%, 52% of his security briefings, and it's DeRoy's postulate. That's why he's missed the ISIS development in Iraq and et cetera. What do you think of all that? It's pretty crazy, huh?
Well, it's really crazy when he just recently opened his mouth and he's been telling everybody that the most important thing that he has to do as president is the safety of the American people. And to miss your briefings, to find out what's going on, is a little shocking. I think it falls back down to where he doesn't want to hear that stuff. And what's happened is I call him the rock star president. He's more interested in giving speeches, and he doesn't like press conferences where they ask him questions that he doesn't have the written answer to. And everybody, gives them softballs.
Well, listen, we got John from Georgia. John, you're on the line with Morry the Grizz Taylor.
Good afternoon. How are you guys?
Hey, John.
Pretty good.
Well, I was just listening earlier, and I heard about Obama missing these national security briefings and how lazy he's been and everything. And to me, what is the deal with people not seeing this? I'm not understanding how this man has any credibility left. And what do we need to do to continue to spread the truth about this and to get the word out? Because it doesn't look like we're getting any help from the media right now.
Well,
that's an interesting question. The media isn't helping us at all.
No, the media is not going to, because if the media takes after Obama, then, they look even dumber than what they do right now, because You've heard the comment that he's the smartest man in the room. He's so intelligent. His intelligence is greater. Nobody, you got Chris Matthews,
Matthews,
he's getting shivers in his legs.
I don't think it was a shiver. I think it's a little bit more sexual.
Well, whatever. And give me a break. I mean, the case is real simple. When you get a con job, just admit that you got conned and then move on.
You think the media got conned?
They're
conned.
not
turning against him, though, Morry. They're not turning against him.
Well, they don't. They don't, because they're no different than some of these terrorists that are running over there that bought the whole line for Allah. I mean, it's, when they bite it.
Well, it's interesting. We had Roy Murdoch from Fox was on earlier. He said that the Democrats in those key U.S. Senate races are actually running away from Obama. So the Democrats will actually turn their back on the president, but the media won't.
Well, they're doing it only to try to con the voter.
Oh, because they're going to vote with him anyway. Yeah.
I mean, God, give me a break, I mean, this is the biggest con that's popped since Jimmy Carter. I mean, my wife voted for Jimmy Carter. My wife says, well, you're an engineer. I thought all engineers. Well, I looked at her and said, yeah, he's an engineer. He was on a submarine. So,
but Morry, you actually stayed with your wife after she voted for Jimmy Carter.
Well, she's an Irish girl who was raised in a Democratic family. But
right, sometimes they can't help themselves.
She's really conservative now, but she wised up. So anyhow, but back to your question about it. You got to just sit there and when you go with your, I think the way to do it when you're out with friends, you'll find that you got a fair shake. Over 50%, probably 60% of all the women that voted. Just ask a simple question. Did you vote in the last election or the first election? Yeah. Well, you got a bigger chance that you can look at that lady and say, well, now ask her. Ask the women. The women are the ones who elected him. And then you say, well, now here's this. What's he done right? Bang, 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 bang. I mean, the only way you're going to get this thing resolved, you got 2 years to wait for him, and I guarantee you can see they're all set. All the media is setting up for, we got to have Hillary,
right?
And Hillary's probably she hasn't got an ounce more credibility than what he's got. So they're actors and actresses. That's what they are.
Well, let me get back to the topic that I promised before the last quarter hour ended, Morry. You operate how many factories in the United States?
Oh, a dozen at least.
A dozen factories in the United States, employing how many people?
In the U.S., we're probably about right around 3,700.
How in the world does your corporation forecast for the next year, 18 months, when all of these mandates are hitting, the EPA mandates, the Obamacare mandates? How does a person plan? Because you're creating jobs. Are you going to grow? What are you going to do?
Well, there's no question. Planning is always a risky business, Mike. I mean, you don't know. I mean, we're biggest part is in the farm business,
right?
So
you build the tires.
We build
that go
tires,
on farm implements.
And we build the Goodyear brand and the Titan brand, and we build the wheel, which is the steel part. But what happens to you? You know, the commodities have really dropped. So farm is going to be down this next year. But where we might represent, as today's volume, or yesterday's volume was, 40% of the market, the only thing we plan is what are we going to do to take a bigger market share? Because that's what we have to do. The problem that the planning people that have the problem is if you look at people who are trying to plan how much power you're going to use, what are you going to do? Unemployment factor, healthcare is just nuts. Okay,
you are self-insured as a company, 3,500 strong.
Correct.
And so Obamacare doesn't smack you right in the gut like it does with a small.
Well, no, that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true, because you see what happens with Obamacare is, like, we generally have our insurance goes to $1 million. Okay,
Right.
You have the employees only going to get hit for so much, but at another factor, because you turn around and now you're going to have to go out and get super coverage that goes, if there's something that goes well over $1 million bucks.
So what do they call it? Supplemental health insurance, right?
No, it's out there as a big reinsurance.
Right.
Is what you got to do. That's what Warren Buffett's into.
Right.
So, it's going to help his business, okay?
Right. So Obamacare is actually going to help his business.
Sure, he's in the reinsurance business.
That explains a little bit.
It explains a lot. But what you got to do is, what you have a problem trying to figure is, how much is it going to go up? There's no question our insurance cost is going to go up next year.
Well, we know. I mean, Walmart, for example, thinks, obviously they can't stay in the insurance, can't continue to offer health insurance to part-time employees because of the exorbitant costs on Cadillac plans from Obamacare. So they can't forecast. They don't know what the costs are going to be, so they just cut it.
Well, there's going to be a lot of companies that do that. And then what happens is, the poor employee, he's going to get thrown on, and, we're going to see whether or not he's subsidized. Those plans are subsidized and from the government. The whole thing is just pure idiotic, stupid. And, but that's how, it's there. And
but what about, for example, these EPA regulations where they say that, basically they're trying to push us away from coal-fired electrical plants, which, of course, are 40% of America's energy. I mean, how does a CEO plan his energy costs when you see a potential spike in that price?
Well, the joke and the worst nightmare the EPA has right now is that fracking, and we haven't even opened up public land. If you turned around and put an energy policy in the U.S., you would probably drop the price of oil down in around $50 to $60.
That's dropping now.
And yeah, but then what would happen? We would have enough. We would even be exporting. But you look at all the other stuff. Your power bill goes down. Everything goes down. So from a manufacturing side, your cost, your wages would go up, but all your other costs go down. Your material cost and everything. But you see, the Democrats, they don't really want that. They want to see $10 gas. They would just be happy if we all went to riding bicycles. So we should just import the bicycles from China and give them our cars. They would be happy as hell. I mean, it's lunacy of what's going on. Okay, and
well, we've only
we're going to go through it.
Well, we've only got about a minute and 30 seconds left in today's show, Morry, and I'm real curious. You've been complaining about, or criticizing, complaining about the trade policy for quite some time now. Has it gotten any better under Obama, or has that gotten worse? Because it wasn't any good under W.
No, it was no good. It's no good today. And the reason it's no good is because everybody is under this intellectual situation of where, oh, it's good that we got free trade. You don't have free trade.
No, we don't.
You know, it's a one-way system. Everybody can bring all their goods here, and we're going to buy them, but you can't send your stuff to us.
You personally experienced that in the tire business.
I already know it. And so what happens is you lose the manufacturing, the working guy who goes to work in the plant, but then you get the intellectuals. Well, we really don't think you should be having factories. We think we should have office buildings. It won't work. So until the next week.
That's right.
This is the Grizz.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Morry the Grizz Taylor here on GrizzNation. You'll hear us again next week, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on GrizzNation. And thank you very much for taking the time to listen. This is Michael Caputo signing off with the Grizz.